Hi, I'm Jessica Klimesh, a creative writer, writing coach, and editor. In just a couple of days, Best Microfiction 2025 is due out, and I am ecstatic to be a part of this anthology this year among so many amazing flash fiction writers. So if you are not familiar with flash fiction, or if you want to get better at the genre, flash fiction or microfiction, I encourage you to check out the Best Microfiction series. Reading through the Best Microfiction anthology is a great way to get more familiar with the craft of flash fiction and microfiction. But I'm not here today to talk about microfiction and flash fiction. I am here to talk about the fluidity of writing. You may have heard the phrase, "Writing is never finished, it's just due." The saying can actually be applied to a lot of things, not just writing, of course. Just because a story is published in a journal doesn't mean that it's finished. You might be done with it. You might never pick it up or revise it again, even if it's not published in a journal. You might just be finished with a story, and that's fine. That's something different. That doesn't mean that it's finished. You might be finished with it. Writing is a process because improvement is a process. And as we improve, we can see better ways we can improve past things. You've probably experienced this whenever you've done something, you're like, I could have done that much better. And that's probably true because we learn as we go. There comes a point, though, where you just need to be done, where you need to submit a story, where you need to put it aside, do whatever you need to do with it. As a university writing instructor, I would often tell my students this same quote about writing never being finished. And the idea was not to terrify them. Are you serious? I have to keep revising this forever? No. The intent was to let them know that I'm not expecting perfection. I realize that you're not going to be turning in something that is completely finished. That's the nature of drafts. And in fact, instead of being terrifying, I look at this as being more liberating. It's a sort of freedom to know that a draft is just a draft. I often revise my work even after I've submitted it to journals, and especially if it comes back rejected from a journal. And that's just the nature of the process of writing, because you're always improving. I always submit work with the attitude of, this is finished for now. So if writing is never finished, how do you know when it's time to submit it to a journal? How do you know when it's done? Well, you don't, but there are a few things to think about in this regard. One, you can have other people read your work and get feedback from them. Another way is to trust yourself. How do you feel about the story? Do you have a feeling of satisfaction? Do you feel proud about the story? That's a good indication that it's ready to be submitted somewhere. But it's also important to understand that completion is temporary. If everything's temporary, there's a bit more freedom there. I really urge you to think about it as liberation, as freedom. Remember, a draft is just a draft. So I hope you will subscribe, like, or comment to my channel, and I'll see you next time.